Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a massive leap back in time to explore the echoes of the Indus Valley. We're talking about the legacy of Mohenjo-Daro. Honestly, it's one of the most awe-inspiring and frankly mind-boggling ancient cities ever uncovered. If you've got this picture in your head of ancient history just being, a bunch of dust and primitive stone tools, well, get ready to have that perception completely shattered. We're going on a documentary-style journey into a past that feels shockingly, almost unbelievably modern. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's anchor ourselves right off the bat with this staggering number, 4,500. That is how many years ago this incredibly advanced city was thriving. 4.5 millennia, long before the Roman Empire, long before the modern world as we know it even began to take shape, we had this highly developed urban society just flourishing in the Indus Valley.
I want you to really put yourself in the shoes of an ancient resident here for a second. Imagine waking up, stepping out of your house, and walking into a city with deliberately planned, grid-like streets. You've got daily access to advanced drainage systems. Thousands of people are living these highly organized, structured lives right alongside you. It really bursts that bubble that ancient peoples were somehow primitive, doesn't it? These are civic amenities we usually associate with, well, us, the modern era. Yet here they are, totally functioning 4,500 years ago.
Section 1. The Lost City Discovered. Unearthing the Indus Valley.
So looking at this timeline, you really get a sense of the historical whiplash. On the far end, 4,500 years ago, the city is at its absolute peak. And then, nothing, just a massive, silent gap. It actually wasn't until the 1920s that archaeologists began excavating in present-day Pakistan and officially rediscovered these ruins. Think about that. This sprawling metropolis was literally swallowed by the earth, just waiting in the dark for thousands of years. And today, of course, it stands proudly as a globally recognized UNESCO World Heritage Site. Moving into Section 2, Ancient Masters of Urban Planning, a grid for the ages. When those archaeologists finally started digging in the 20s, they didn't just find a random cluster of mud huts. No way. They uncovered wide streets laid out in this incredibly precise grid pattern. It's like a giant puzzle. The houses were deliberately built with baked bricks, not just sun-dried mud that would melt in a heavy rain, but actual baked bricks. They found massive public buildings, dedicated community wells, and honestly the most mind-blowing part, underground drainage systems. It shows this absolute mastery of urban planning. The city didn't just happen by accident. It was highly engineered. This brilliantly illustrates what we could call modernity in antiquity. On one hand, you have Mohenjo-Daro, right? Carefully planned neighborhoods where houses have their own private bathrooms. And get this, those bathrooms connected directly to the underground street drains. On the flip side, many other major civilizations from that exact same era completely lacked this level of sanitation. Let that sink in for a second. Having a private, flushing-style drainage system 4,500 years ago put them leagues ahead of the pack. To put it into perspective, major European cities like London or Paris wouldn't see comparable municipal drainage for thousands of years.
Section 3. Daily Life and Thriving Trade, the beating heart of the city.
Now, a crucial point here is that their incredible prosperity wasn't just built on good plumbing. It was built on a really dynamic, thriving economy. You've got the agricultural sector, where farmers are growing wheat and barley to feed thousands of mouths. Then you've got the craftsmanship sector, these incredibly skilled artisans creating beautiful pottery, intricate jewelry, and really advanced tools. And tying it all together, the trade sector. Merchants were actively exchanging these goods with totally distant regions. It was just a vibrant, buzzing economic ecosystem where everyone, farmers, artisans, merchants, worked in total harmony.
Section 4. The Great Bath, the center of community. So, right in the heart of Mohenjo-Daro, we find the Great Bath. This was a massive public water tank. Researchers believe this beautifully constructed structure was likely used for important ceremonies or vital community gatherings. When you really stop to think about the sheer scale and the central placement of this thing, you get this profound sense of reverence. Water wasn't just practical for them, it was deeply cultural. This wasn't just some reservoir to grab a quick drink, it was a sacred communal space where the whole city could come together.
Bringing us to Section 5. Mysterious Decline and Lasting Legacy. An Unsolved Puzzle.
And here is the million-dollar question that still hangs over these ruins like a shadow. Why did Mohenjo-Daro fall? Seriously, think about everything we've just talked about. How does a city with private plumbing, massive agricultural surpluses, international trade, and thousands of highly organized citizens just stop? Well, despite all their success and jaw-dropping technological advancements, the exact reason for their sudden decline is still an absolute mystery today.
Now, we don't have a smoking gun, but historians have pieced together a few really compelling theories. Some think severe climate changes might have slowly made the region completely inhospitable. Others point to catastrophic flooding from the very river that gave the civilization its life. Actually, another huge theory is that major trade routes shifted, essentially starving the city of its economic lifeblood and forcing people to slowly pack up and leave. It could be one of these, or honestly, maybe a perfect storm of all three. But the puzzle remains very much unsolved.
The incredible thing, though, is that while the city itself was abandoned millennia ago, its story absolutely didn't end in the dust. As we touched on earlier, Mohenjo-Daro is now a heavily protected UNESCO World Heritage Site. These ruins aren't just old rocks, they're preserved and studied as one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in human history, constantly giving us these deeply human clues about the people who walked those streets 45 centuries ago.
Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway for this explainer. I want to share this quote from our source material because it just hits the nail on the head. The story of Mohenjo-Daro reminds us that advanced societies existed long before the modern world. That is the absolute crux of it. Ancient does not equal primitive. This city left behind a blueprint of urban planning and civic organization that literally still inspires archaeologists today.
So I'm going to leave you with this final kind of provocative thought. If a civilization this engineered, this highly organized, and this prosperous could simply disappear and be swallowed by the earth for millennia, what lasting legacies are our modern cities going to leave behind in 4,500 years? Will our grids and our skyscrapers just be unearthed and marveled at as some ancient mystery? It really makes you reflect on the rise and, I guess, the inevitable fall of all advanced societies. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning and keep questioning the history right beneath your feet.